Hi everyone, welcome back to Box of Delights. Today we're going to be looking at an expansion for one of my favourite games of the last year, Earth. The expansion is called Abundance. This is just a prototype. I think it's actually funding on Kickstarter right now. This is the first expansion for the game. Let's take a look inside and see what this expansion is all about. First thing you'll notice is you get a 6th player board. There is a new player, the pink player. So you'll get some tokens for the new player. We've got extra soil tokens and sprouts and some extra wooden growth tokens too, so your trunks and canopies. The new tokens here are seeds. We'll come back to those in a bit. Just going back to the player boards, you'll notice the 6th player board, this one's kind of folded to fit in the box. Remember, this is prototype, right? So things may ultimately change. But the 6th player board has some extra reminder text down the bottom here. And the player aid down here is slightly different. So if you notice, this is the old existing boards. Okay. So to facilitate those changes, there are some overlays here to overlay your existing player boards. Okay. All right. So that's what that's about. We'll come to look at the details of this in a bit. We've got a new score pad here accommodating a 6th player. Double-sided. And of course, the all-important cards. We'll come to these in a second as well. This is what you wanted to see, right? Okay. Let's start by looking at this new part of the board though, and these new resources, seeds. So new resource, they're purple here, but I think in the final game they're going to be actually brown. So this is the 6th player board. Remember, you've got an overlay for your own player board. It's just the same. Actually, there's one little icon missing here, but I'll cover it in a second. So seeds. Seeds give you access to these things here. So for 1 seed, you can gain 3 sprouts or 3 compost from the draw pile. Okay. You can gain 2 soil or 2 growth. The one that's missing is you can compost 4. For 1 seed, you can compost 4 cards from your hand. Okay. Now, this is the important one. The new action for 1 seed is this icon here. This is called a germinate. When you germinate, spend 1 seed, germinate, you can, and that's the only way to get to the germinate action is to spend a seed. You can search for a particular card that you want from the deck. Now, it's not a specific card. You're not looking for a named card, all right? You can't say, I'm looking for the new mountain range formation event, okay, for example. Or you can't say, I'm looking for a saprobic fungi. But what you can do, here's a list, is when you germinate, you can search for a card that has one of these. There's 21 different ones listed here. One of these different objectives on it. So, for example, you might say, search for a card that has a soil cost. Okay, and then you take the deck, you turn over cards until you find one that has a soil cost. Okay, Penderosa pine costs soil, so it's got a minus soil. All right, so for losing soil, you get that card. So you can go and grab that card. Now, why might that be important? Well, because remember your fauna objectives. Abundance adds 6 more as it goes. Like, for example, here, the Margay says 6 or more cards with a gain growth ability. So you might spend a seed to then search the deck for cards with a gain growth ability. So it's a nice way of using seeds. You you might feel, I don't know, just not getting the luck of the draw. There's a big, thick deck of these things, and this expansion's adding more of these flora cards. You may find that you can't find the things that are going to help you with objectives. Spend a seed, take the germinate, search for a card that helps you with an objective, and then you can place that card into your ecosystem on an upcoming action. Right, now you can take the germinate action any time to grab a card or to do these other things. Now, how do you get seeds? Well, you can spend 4 sprouts to get a seed. Okay, so this is what's new. Remember, on your old player boards, it said spend 3 sprouts, gain 2 soil. That's still here. But now you can spend 4 sprouts and gain a seed. Or, this is an interesting one. Remember, you get 4 leaves. Leaves is what you're going to be placing on objectives when you fulfill them. But if you wish, you can instead burn a leaf, so you're not going to be using it to fulfill objectives. Burn a leaf to grab a seed. So you could potentially then be using that to germinate or do any of these other things. So that's seeds, helping you search for cards using the germinate action or grab more resources. You might find there's some other ways of getting seeds, some different cards that, well, there's one right here. The saprobic fungi lets you gain a seed. Okay. The Thuja giant, gain a seed. All right. There's different ways of gaining new seeds. Okay. All right. Wonderful. So while we look at these objectives, let's have a look at some of these new cards. So we've got 3 new fauna cards. Remember, they're double-sided. Yes, this is a prototype, so this text will change. So 3 new fauna. We've got 3 new ecosystem cards. Again, double-sided. And then for your personal boards, we've got 2 new island cards. Again, double-sided. And 2 new climate cards. All right. Okay. Now for our main deck, our main Earth deck, we've got 16 new terrain cards. Lots of new stuff. We've got 9 new events and 45 new flora. And on these, you're going to see some new icons. Okay. You're familiar with this icon, the any player icon. This one here, similar, means any other player. Okay. This one we've already talked about, that gains you a seed. And then this one means a player to your left or a player to your right, their tableau. Okay, so an adjacent player's tableau. And obviously in solo, because we're interested in solo, that just means Gaia. Likewise, that just means Gaia. Okay. So this one here, the difference here, this is any player, so that could be you or any other. This is just other. All right, so some new icons for you. And that's pretty much it. That's what you're getting with this new expansion. Tons more content, different ways to interact with other players. These new icons, the 6th player board. Okay. There's also one more rule change actually. Sprouts can be saved. So normally when you're collecting sprouts, you're having to place them on flora in your tableau. But if you haven't got room and you're gaining extra sprouts, you can store them on your player board. You can keep them there for as long as you want. They don't score points. Remember, sprouts score you points at the end of the game. So only sprouts on flora score points. These ones don't. But at the end of your turn, you can move them from your board onto vacant spaces. All right, so a little rule change there. Oh, one more thing. You might have seen this little token up here. Remember, we're collecting and scoring objectives, but the first player to complete their 4x4, their 16 card tableau in the base game scores 7 points. This is now changed to 11 points. Okay, so a little bit of a balancing there. That being first to complete your tableau gives you a few extra points. So that's it. That's the Earth Abundance expansion. Lots new content, some nice little rule changes, and a new resource seeds that you can collect and use to powerful effect, searching this big old stack of cards for specific cards using that germinate action. There it is then, that's Abundance. I hope this quick little preview has given you an insight into whether this is something you'll enjoy. There are a few other little things I think they've done now that we've gone up to 6 players. Remember, in the base game there was a 2 versus 2 option. There's now a 3 versus 3. And I think there is an upgrade pack as well. So for all those first edition owners, a bunch of cards. Got some little errata, and I think some colour blindness changes were applied as well. So you can get an upgrade pack. So that's on the Kickstarter page as well. So we've got some little typos corrected. But I think the word is, play with the game you've got, because it's perfectly playable. I won't be grabbing the upgrade kit. I think the base game as it is plays perfectly fine. There's just these slight little tweaks. I mean, that's what publishers do. They always try and improve on games, even if it's in some small, seemingly insignificant way. All right, so there we go. I'm looking forward to these little changes, and I kind of like this actually. More points for completing first. So particularly at the end game, I think spending leaves for seeds to grab things that you want and grab specific cards you need if you don't feel that you're going to use your leaves for objectives. Although 4 sprouts for a seed is also a good bargain, all right, especially if you're collecting these now on your board. Though you can't spend the ones on your board, you have to put them up on your ecosystem before you can spend them on soil and seeds. Okay, look out for it. I hope you've enjoyed this little overview. Lots more beautiful plants, fungi to get into your ecosystems. Wonderful. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.